Satisfy me in 5 minutes. I might let you leave.
Yo! What is up,
my friend?
Ezra? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful. I'm wearing my Carson Teva helmet. I don't have a full flight suit. I need a flight suit.
You ain't got something like this?
I know. See, you got the nice jacket and stuff like that. I've got a cool helmet. That's what I got. So happy Halloween week, my friend. This is like cosplayer light week, I guess.
Yes.
I'm excited. Do you have anything special planned for Halloween?
Halloween I'm going trick-or-treating with my girlfriend.
Ooh.
And then I'm going to a Halloween party later tonight. Maybe I'll see some people there.
Oh, yes. That sounds like a lot of fun, man.
You got any plans, man? What you doing?
You know, this weekend I'm gonna figure. I got a kid, so we're gonna do the Halloween thing. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for that. I'm excited because Thursday, gonna get my head straight. What is up, Kevin? Thursday, Distance Nerding is renting out a theater, and they are doing the watch party for Eternals. So I might head up there for that. And then Friday, our dear friends Tina and Tony are getting married in Napa. But we also have like the biggest show we have ever done next week.
Oh, that's right. We do, huh?
Who is our guest? Do you even know how to pronounce his name?
Jeffrey... I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Jeffrey Giuliano. Raymond says, when are we going to be back open? Technically, we're kind of open right now. We do have a few sabers that are listed on our website. They are here. So if there's anything you want, you can message us directly or go to the website and get that ordered for you. We are looking at about 3 weeks out, 3 to 5 weeks out from doing pre-orders on our first Kyber Cave brand lightsabers.
I do want to say, he did say that we're 3 weeks out for pre-orders, but you can buy your pre-order now at kybercave.com.
That is true. That is true. And we are developing it and changing it. I'm going to give you, like, when you open your Kyber Cave box and you pull out your saber, you are going to be absolutely amazed. I know. I need a flight suit. Say, well, I'm just not a rich man. When you open your box, I've already started working. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. I started working with, I'm not the world's best artist, as you can tell. I started working with the packaging manager for the Kyber Cave package. And this will be like a sleeve that slides over the box. But you're actually going to get a Kyber Cave saber. You're going to get a coin that is only for the first 100 people. These are the emitter wings, and then lower, you're going to get some special, it's going to come with a saber stand, acrylic saber stand. So we're going to make it like the whole package. Excitingly, we are teaming up with Darkside Saber, and this is actually going to make getting the saber to you a whole lot faster. Because what Kyber Cave is doing is we're teaming up with Darkside Saber. We are going to be producing the saber. We're going to be selling in empty hilts. But on our website, we're going to have a link over to Darkside, and they will do the installs for you. And we literally just bring it over to Darkside Saber. Within a day or two, he gets that wired up and it gets shipped out to you. So we still, by being able to do that, because Kyber Cave is limited in the number of people we're doing, and because we're trying to get a big number of hilts out in the beginning, by taking the electronics off of our hands and just letting us concentrate on the machining, that is going to get your product out to you a lot faster. So we are doing pre-orders on the sabers right now. I know for the install, you're going to have a choice of a stunt saber, LED with sound. Ooh, thank you very much. That is the Pure Blood Shoto. And what's going to happen is that now you're going to see, thank you. You're going to see 3 different versions. This one doesn't have the shrouds on there, and this has the shrouds in the up position. So you have the choice of having no shroud at all or putting the shrouds in whatever position you want. And really, when I designed the saber, I kind of envisioned it as a what I call a canvas saber, meaning it is meant to be, etched on or put your own design to do painting however you want. Really, really super customize that. So
Right.
I am super excited about the Pure Blood. We should be pre-selling that very soon. It is up on the website. Oh, thank you. Thank
you, sir.
It's going to have, like, you saw the holes in there. So the buttons are going to be up and down, and it's not going to be your standard, like, AV. Bring those pictures back up.
Yeah, I'm going to right here.
It's not going to be your standard AV switch. So if you look on the bottom, there's 2 buttons up and down. That's going to be, your ignition switches. And then on the top, if you look towards the top, you see 2 little holes, and there's another set of holes right behind it. It's easiest to see on the silver one. That's actually going to have a piece of wire, exposed wire coming out. Very similar to what you see on, like, the Darth Vader or the Kylo Ren. As I said, yes, I want the red one myself. And that is actually the inspiration for the name. In fact, the first name was actually the Ishtan, because I can't
Ishin Karja.
The Istin Karja, but that was a little bit too hard, and so I got the name. We changed the name, and the inspiration comes from the Pure Blood Sith. So
Yes.
I couldn't use the word Sith. I can use Pure Blood. So that is the Pure Blood, Kyber Cave's first saber. And what's exciting about that is there are 7 individual parts. If you look at the shroud and you consider the shroud that has 7 individual parts on there with the sleeves and stuff, these will be the very first parts available in our Kyber Cave ritual. So as we build more sabers into our lineup, they're all going to have separated pieces so that you can start to build your own saber. Very similar to how Custom Saber Shop has the MHS system, or Saber Forge has the ASP system. Kyber Cave is going to have its own system, but even better than that, we are teaming up with Ripper Blades. Ripper Blades, some of you may or may not know, hopefully this isn't too much of a secret, but they are going to start developing their own hilts. Not only going to be doing blades, but they're going to develop their own style of hilts as well. So we will be teaming up with them, and so you could buy an emitter from Kyber Cave and a hilt from Ripper Blade, and then Darkside Saber, when his line develops, he also is going to be interchangeable with us. So we've got at least 3 companies right now where you'll be able to buy different parts and mix and match, so that it's not limited at all. Have you guys watched Star Wars Vision, and are you guys excited about the Book of Boba? Are you kidding me? Oh,
I haven't finished Visions.
You haven't finished Visions?
I haven't.
What did you think of Visions? That's what I wanted. I want to know what other people think.
I kind of fell off after the Saber microphone. That I was just kind of, I'm okay.
Yeah, that one seems more like it was geared towards the littler kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a very Cartoon Networky kind of episode. There are some really good ones. Like I said, if you get to, I want to say it's like episode 5 or 6. There's one called The Ninth Jedi that everybody has just been excited about and talking about how that could break off into, it could be its own series. And Book of Boba, oh man, dude, I'm excited. Fennec Shan is going to be there. I was really excited in Bad Batch when they had her as like a crossover character. So I am excited about that. I love the samurai run.
Where you collect the crystals. Yes, that was probably my absolute favorite thing about Visions. I know I didn't finish it, so I can't say, but what I have seen.
Right.
because I feel like if I were actually in the universe of, not going to say the name for copyright reasons, of you know what, I feel like I would collect Kyber crystals. I feel like I would go out there. If I were to fight a Sith or a Jedi, I would, I would definitely collect their crystal and I would keep it.
Right.
That
Right.
would be my thing.
Right. I love the Sith on Sith battles there.
Yes.
That was fun to watch.
That's absolutely amazing.
Red blade for life, baby.
Anyway, sir, to let people know what this show is going to be. This show is Kyber K presents Saber Rattle's first pre-recorded show.
Oh yes, yes. So I want to let you know our when we go into our interview for our guest, you will not be able to comment directly to him. Now, go ahead and comment because he can watch the show after and he can answer your comments. And we're going to be there in the comments section too, which will be a little bit different for me because I'm so used to being in the interview. So now I get to talk to you guys and watch the show. But the reason that we did a pre-record was because our guest tonight, who was the stunt double for Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, he is in London right now. And so to have him on during the live interview, it would have been 3 a.m. for him, and he was not wanting to do that.
No offense to him, but he is an older gentleman.
Oh man, says the 10-year-old.
Piss off. I wanted to...
But before we do that, on our spooktacular episode, this is episode 71 of Kyber K presents Saber Rattle. Yeah, oh yeah, we got the Qui-Gon Jinn this week, and we have an actor from Squid Games. Can you believe that? We have an actor from Squid Games on this show next week. So not just a little side actor, not like one of the first 400 people that got wiped or 200 people that got wiped out in the first wave. I'm talking about a star of the show will be on Kyber K presents Saber Rattle next week. So please tell everybody to tune in. And you're not old, Tony. You know we love you.
You are definitely not old, Tony.
But before we that, on the spooktacular episode, I'm not really that scary. We have, as always, our fantastic producer, Mr. James Kaiser, a.k.a. Doth Cephalus.
Oop.
Of course, Darth Nihilus. See, we get all the celebrities on the show. We got Darth Nihilus on here. Who else has Darth Nihilus?
Right? Although I do wonder where that video came from.
I don't know. But hey, do we actually have a flow this week? Do we have James on the flow?
No.
No, okay, that was okay. Okay, so I guess Darth Nihilus took over our flow section for everybody. Happy Halloween! There he is, right there.
So our flow for this week is Mr. Christian Castro of Saberflex Workshop.
Yeah, Christian Castro. You know we love us some Christian Castro. Saberflux Workshop is a fantastic saber company. And of course, we love you too, James Kaiser. You will get to see James Kaiser's flow next week when we have our Jeffrey Giuliano from Squid Games. When we have him on, we will have James Kaiser as the flow. But for this week, we have the fantastic Christian Castro.
All right. Shall we play it?
Yeah, I just set it up. What? That was like a 2-for-1. We not only got flow, we got like a little mini movie beginning there.
Right?
That was really
awesome.
cool. I really like how he shot that.
Me too. That was amazing.
That was fantastic. Now, and I want to point something out too, because this is something that I didn't know before we started doing the show and I started meeting all of these fantastic flow artists. What Christian was doing, for those that may or may not be aware, it was actually a specific type of flow called contact flow. And contact flow is specifically when you're rolling the saber kind of around your body in different body parts, as opposed to like flipping it in the air and catching it behind your back and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So contact flow. So, and if you are interested in some of the world's best contact flow sabers, if you want to learn how to do that yourself, in fact, I think Tony owns one. You can get yourself a custom Saberflux Workshop custom saber for yourself. I can say all those words, I promise.
Can you though?
So yeah, so if you would like to do that, and I know he has lots of tutorial videos as well, but check out custom, goodness, I can speak the language, I promise. Saberflux Workshop. Make sure to check out Saberflux Workshop. All right, I'm going to get, because this, and also to this interview, you will learn our guest really enjoy being on tonight. We had him on. We taped it earlier today, and it ran about 10 minutes, a little bit longer than I wanted it to run. So stick in there. Once again, we are very fortunate to have. Hey, Forz is in the house. Woohoo! Really quick before we get into this interview, because Forz is in there, I have to tell you, I'm so excited about this. Forz is actually creating a custom font for that saber. So the Bloodlust is going to, the pure blood is going to have a custom saber font created by Forz Effects, specifically for us. I'm so excited about that. Woohoo! So good. And also, he does a show on Saturday nights. In fact, I want to say tomorrow night he has a show. So make sure to check out his YouTube channel. And while we're on that note, really quick, God, we got so much to say tonight. Be sure we are on YouTube. For those of you that only watch us on Facebook, make sure to check out our YouTube page. Please subscribe, like, and put a comment there. We are going to have a contest for everybody for the next month. If you share, what did we say, Ezra? What do you got to do?
Okay.
Like the page.
So we're having a giveaway for our YouTube page. If you like, comment, subscribe, and share every Saber Rattle for the month, for this coming up month, you'll be entered in the giveaway.
Well,
each video that you do
time you do it. So if you do all 4, you get 4 entries into winning a saber, and we will mail that saber out to you.
If you do one of the Saber Rattles, you get 1 entry. If you do 2, 3, however many, that's how many entries you get. There's up to 4 entries, and then you get your own little pure blood if you win.
Right, and then that will be out to you before Christmas, because unlike other companies, we put it in the mail the next day. Actually, there's a lot of good growing companies that we've had on here that are that good.
Yes.
Oh yes, I was very fortunate. This is Carson Teva from The Mandalorian. I had to Asian represent once I saw him on screen. But let's go ahead and get into this interview. Like I said, we are very lucky to have Mr. Andrew Lawden. He was the stand-in and I believe the stunt double for Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, as well as he was one of the Naboo guards. So he does tell a great little story about how he was in the same scene twice in Phantom Menace. So please,
really quickly, just to answer Tony's question.
Oh.
Yes, it is for the entire month of November. Each Saber Rattle, you go to our YouTube page, you like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. You will get an entry into our little wheel. And then the first Saber Rattle of December, we will spin the wheel, or we'll have a little wheel pie chart thing. We'll spin the wheel, and then you'll see if you win.
All right, and then we ship it out, and then that's one less holiday gift you got to buy for somebody, unless you're doing it yourself.
Unless you want it for yourself.
I'm not sure what we're gonna give away. I'm leaning towards that battle converted Count Dooku, but I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what people like. I want to get to this interview though, because I don't want the show to run forever. So with no further ado, please give it up for Mr. Andrew Lawden.
Woo!
Hello, Mr. Andrew Lawden. How are you this evening?
I'm rather good. How are you?
Life is beautiful. I feel like I'm time traveling. I'm speaking to 8 hours into the future right now.
Yeah, well, it's about 9:30 in merry old England. It's dark.
Right,
Yeah.
but to be fair, it's often dark in England, whether it's day or night.
Sometimes. Yeah, we did have sun today.
Yeah. Ooh, see, that's beautiful.
And then the rain turned up. So
I actually love London. We actually had a discussion a couple of days ago about if we could visit anywhere again, and I had a fabulous time so many years ago before the white was here. I had a fabulous time in London, so I'm a bit jealous.
Well, you'll find it quite a changed city now. They've trashed a lot of it, which is a shame. There's a running battle to save a lot of it now.
Oof.
Yeah,
well,
and the pandemic has really hit the capital badly because they've shut down loads of offices and there's loads of derelict buildings. and all the knock-on businesses have disappeared. So parts of London are like ghost towns now.
Oh wow, it's like
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
It is a bit, yeah. Even places like big shopping centres, like in Westfield. Did you go there?
Right. No.
There's because various big chain stores have now closed.
Right.
There's lots of big caps even in the shopping centre. It's really weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in one last week and I just thought, my God, what's happened?
Wow. Well, you know what? Let's back up a little bit. Let's start with a little brighter. I want to learn more about you. Now, of course, I know who you are. I am excited about tonight. I've been waiting a long time. We actually started talking, I want to say like 6 months ago. I was cruising online and I don't know if I had seen a video you posted in a group and I had messaged you, but we couldn't get our schedules to line up. And then all of a sudden I saw you post something else and I was like, oh my God, I got to message him back.
It's that man with the bounty hunter name, you know. Ark Sailor, yeah, you know.
Right. So why don't you let the viewers know what you do, who you are, maybe some things that you're known for?
Who am I? I'm Andrew Lawden. I was very fortunate to be cast in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Woohoo!
I was originally cast as one of the Naboo Royal Guards. For those of you who are still confused after all these years, which ones they are, they're the ones in the purple and blue uniforms running around.
Right.
We're following Captain Panaka and having plastic guns and blasting a few droids and scaling a few walls and running around hangars and all the other fun stuff that we do. And the other great job I was asked to do on there was to be the stand-in double for Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Wow.
So a stand-in double is a very interesting job on a film, and they have them a lot on the big films, mainly because a lot of the principal actors can't be in 3 places at once. And so to stick to a filming schedule, they have stand-in doubles.
Right.
So it's great because you get to play their part.
Right.
And learn off the good people themselves.
Wow.
So as you can imagine, there was lots of fun stuff that we do. But I see it, as a result, I see the film in a very different way. It's very hard to watch and enjoy the film. I've done lots of other stuff as well. I've been around for like 25 years. I've done things like Robin the Prince of Thieves. I think you get EastEnders over there.
Right, yes.
Yeah. What else have I done recently? Pennyworth, of course, for DC Comics. I've been in that.
Right.
You know, the Batman prequel spin-off series or whatever it's called?
The Arkham?
Yeah, you know, Arkham, it's like the prequel. It's about the young life of Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler.
Right.
Yeah. So
wow.
I've been in that. What else have I been in? I've got 2 things that have been held up by the pandemic. I've got a film coming out called Mr. Mayfair, which features Armand Asante, who, if you're a sci-fi fan, was Rico Dredd in the Stallone Judge Dredd.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, he's playing the lead guy, which is quite interesting. So.
And what are you doing there?
What am I doing in it? I'm playing a guy called Boris, who's like a Russian bodyguard driver to this oligarch woman. It's quite an interesting story over 3 films, actually. Mr. Mayfair is actually an American guy who lives in Mayfair and runs this upmarket cabaret nightclub that he's bought. Because basically he's a former member of one of the New York mob families.
Okay.
And basically what he decided to do was he decided to take his money, having spent 20, 30 years in the service of the mob, and essentially retire to London, bought himself a club he'd always wanted, and runs this shishi place. Until one day, a young woman comes into the club and asks to have a word with him, and basically says that she Well, she says she's his niece, but it's implied in the film that she's actually his daughter, because as we discover from the story that she tells him, way back, Mr. Mayfair had a fling with the woman that's her mum. Okay, and what happens is that this starts a sequence of events because she's come all the way from Portugal, and what's happened is that her inheritance has been stolen by a crooked accountant.
No.
And she comes to track down Mr. Mayfair to try and get the money back. And because she's family, it's what he agrees to sort of help her get the money back. So without giving like too much away, they go and retrieve the money. But at the same time, what they don't realize is that the money that they rescue is not just her money. It turns out the accountant has been laundering money for various people, including the Russian mafia. And so they accidentally steal Russian mafia money, which is where me and my characters come in, because they come to get the money and it's not there. So they follow the paper trail. So there then begins a very interesting sequence of events that involves basically two mob families, or is it three, in three different countries, and it just gets very interesting, should we say.
That sounds really good. That sounds like a whole series. That sounds like something you can sit down and binge.
Well, it's 3 films. It's actually been done as like 3 films. I'm only in the first segment, as far as I know, because you know what editors are like and directors,
Right.
So that's that's hopefully going to come out soon. We keep waiting for dates. And then I go back to the sci-fi zone, where I've done a thing called, again, which has been delayed because of the pandemic, called Dan Hawk's Psychic Investigator.
Okay.
Which is about a former police officer turned criminal thriller writer who ends up going back to his hometown because there's a series of murders that start being committed by somebody dressing up as a character from one of his books. So he comes back to try and find out who's sort of trying to set him up using his work.
Wow, man, this sounds like a lot of great projects on the horizon. We're gonna have to look out for all of those.
Well, it's really weird because I bear in mind I did these things like literally 2 years ago, because the pandemic has knocked everything out of sync.
Right.
So, it's always very odd when you film things. If they come out within a few months of filming, as a lot of television does, and sometimes feature films, sometimes, it's not so bad. But usually you're doing stuff and then you're on to like the next job and they're like, oh yeah, this is coming out. We've got a premiere, we've got a screening, and we're like, oh yeah. And you start racking your brain thinking, oh yeah, that's that thing I worked on 12 months ago. Or,
right.
Because you're on to the next thing, and that's how the job is, really.
Exactly.
And of course, as we speak, as you probably know, we've got the what you call it? There's the prequel TV series to Rogue One they're shooting over here.
Yeah. Cassian, or is it called Cassian, or is it his last name? Anders, or what is his last name in that show? At any rate, yes, I do know about that.
But nobody knows a lot about it. 1 or 2 people know people who are working on it, but they're keeping very tight-lipped about how that's all going.
Right.
I can exclusively reveal that at this moment in time, I'm not actually doing anything on it.
Right.
At this moment in time, being the operative phrase.
Right. Now,
the Star Wars world is very funny.
I was going to ask you about that because you have worked within the Star Wars universe, particularly on Phantom Menace. Um, does that mean that when other things come up, that you're like on a short list, that like that maybe, oh yeah, we worked with him, he was a really great guy, or do you still have to go through audition processes and the same thing that maybe other people would have to go through?
Yeah, I do. I do. It's very odd these days because even people who are known and are names have to audition in some way or form. A certain pool of people get offered and asked to do things. But Star Wars has a very strange way of working. It always has done. For the recent set of films, I had a brief interview for the first one, and then didn't get used for any of them,
Right.
or the films in between. But if you've been called in, they do know you exist. They obviously log somewhere what you've done.
Right.
There was a very odd discussion when the is it Andor, the series?
Yes, Andor.
Yeah, there was
Cassian's
a
his
very
first name.
interesting discussion with my agent and the casting directors for Andor, because they initially said that they weren't going to see anybody who'd been in the previous films.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to them, but I said to my agent, I said, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
And I gave them a few plot lines to sort of justify why. So that one may happen.
That would be fantastic.
I mean, it would, but to be brutally honest, although it would be nice to do that, I'm actually more interested in like working on something like Rogue Squadron or the High Republic.
Right. Is that just because that's more of your taste and your flavor, or?
Well, the Old Republic is going to be about the origin of the Jedi, so there's a natural appeal to that. And Rogue Squadron is basically, I just love the chance to like fly some sort of plane and be directed by Patty, what's her face? Because I love her work.
Patty Jenkins?
Patty Jenkins, yeah. It'd be nice to work with Patty Jenkins.
It would be fantastic. So let me ask you, okay, so going back to Phantom Menace, you came in as an extra to be one of the guards for the Naboo guards, correct?
No.
Oh.
I basically, I'm an actor. I basically auditioned. I got called in,
Okay.
and I had an audition because I was originally up for something else. I was originally up for what was it now? I was originally up for one of the Jedi Council.
Oh.
I believe. Which I I wasn't to know. I foolishly turned it down because I didn't at the time. I wanted to play something where they could see my face. I didn't want to spend 2-3 hours a day in prosthetics and covered in costumes or walk around going or something like that. I wanted to do something that was, I don't know, probably a bit more memorable, really. But then everything has become memorable in Star Wars, hasn't it?
Right.
So I turned it down. I said no to it. And looking back, I sit there and think, oh, I wasn't to know, but I kind of probably shouldn't have done that.
Right. Well, you hindsight is 20/20, right? You can't know what you don't know.
Yeah, well, if I'd have said yes to it, I'd have been in the other 2 films. I'd have gone to Australia.
Right.
But that will happen. That will happen at some point.
Right.
So, but you're not to know. I mean, nobody knew at the time that they were going to, after the first film, they were going to take the Star Wars crew and ship it off to Australia.
Right.
So yeah, there was an audition process, and I remember going to meet them and talk about bits of things in the film. And I remember having a fight audition.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
Now, would you have a fighting edition? And then one thing we haven't talked about in any of this is you actually teach other people. You have a Jedi Academy, and there we
I
go,
do.
Jedi Fight Academy. Now,
Oh,
I'm
doesn't he look
guessing.
lovely?
I'm guessing, and I don't know. Of course, I'm hoping you'll tell us, but I'm guessing this grew out of this role that you had in this movie, Phantom Menace, and not that you had a Jedi Academy before Phantom Menace.
That's
Which way
right.
was it?
It was exactly that. I didn't have an academy before. It did come from my job. I'm currently apparently. So get in and book me quick. Incidentally, where are you based, by the way?
We're in California.
Oh, because now they changed all the rules last week. As of like next week, we can now come and get on a plane and come and see you again.
Woo-hoo!
So we can come and do events in America.
Yes.
So book us quick.
Yes, I'm
Book it
excited.
in quick, and I will come, because I just started going to America to do events when the pandemic hit. You see.
Right.
So, but yeah, the Fight Academy came out of doing the job, because I'm at the moment, this still is the case. I'm currently the only person who's been in a Star Wars film that actually teaches a class.
Wow.
Although, in all fairness, right, giving credit where credit's due, Ray Park kind of he sort of teaches the classes, but Ray tends to teach demonstrations.
Right.
And he might do a little bit of a knockabout with people. So he doesn't do classes like I do per se. So, I wouldn't be disrespectful or rude to anybody, be it Ray or anybody else. But
Right.
if you can imagine, bless him, could you imagine like Ray turning up with about like 16 double-bladed lightsabers in the bag and getting them all out? I mean, it's tough enough for me because I turn up with a big bag of lightsabers and
Right.
There are two sort of sorts. Well, three actually, if you include the ones that you can get on the table for souvenirs, that I bring along to the event. More of which we will talk about in the live show.
Ooh, excellent plug.
Yeah, so that came about. How did that come about? That kind of came about actually because of an event that I did in Germany, and somebody asked me if I would do a bit of the Duel of the Fates with this guy who'd learned and could fight with a double blade lightsaber.
Right.
So we just had a bit of a knockabout and did a few like moves, and somebody filmed it and took pictures and they put it up somewhere and somebody saw it. And then people at events started saying to me, they go, "Oh, we saw that thing that you did." And they said, "Oh, could you do that at our event?" And I said, "Yes, I could. How would you like it to work, or what would you like to do?"
Right.
So after a couple of discussions with 2 or 3 events, it took a bit to like home. I came up with a format which was based entirely on the stuff that we were taught or what we were shown in the film, with a few other bits and pieces that I sort of take from the other films, depending on what routine is done.
Right. Wow.
So, and there are various versions of the class, again, which I can elaborate in the live show because people probably want to ask questions, and when they ask questions, it's easy to be more specific.
Right.
So that's how that came about. And
so you auditioned for a part as a council member, but obviously you didn't go that way. You had talked about being what you said, a Naboo guard or a pilot, was it? The guard?
I was offered the role of what was called they were initially called Federation guards or soldiers, and then because they were part of the Naboo world with Queen Amidala and all the others,
right?
They were called like the Naboo Royal Guard because there were 2 or 3 different types, and you can see it in the different color uniforms. Like the pilots have a different uniform to the soldiers, and the Naboo Royal Guard. I mean, in a way, I liken them to the Republican Guard of Saddam Hussein. Really, it's
Right.
like your own sort of bodyguard force, or like the Secret Service that guard the president.
Right.
It's that battalion. It's that sort of group of people that's specifically a job to look after and protect the royals, and that's why they're all in these purple and blue uniforms, allegedly.
Right.
But we wear a mixture of funny hats. It's like, to this day, I don't know why some of them have got these round hats, and some of us have got big caps. And
right. Well, but now
You know.
I want to make a jump though and figure out, like, so you come on as how did you get to be the stand-in for Qui-Gon? Is it just that you were the same build type, or that did you have some martial art experience that they knew about, that they thought that you might be good for that as well? How did that come about?
Partially what you say is true. I am the same height and build as Liam. And I had done a fight audition where we didn't do lightsaber fighting per se,
Right.
but we did some of the techniques and the styles that were going to become some of that. Because the fight style in the prequel trilogy is different to the original trilogy.
Right.
It's different again in the new films, which one or two people you've had on may have talked about or may not. But sadly, there's a lot of elaborate explanations about the fight styles, like half of which sadly isn't true, because it's based on stuff they put in the aftermarket books, which sort of padded out and elaborated what was actually done and why certain things were chosen and how stuff came to be.
Right.
So I'd done the fight audition, and the thing is that I've always done roles where I seem to be the action adventure guy or like the villain guy. I end up in a fight somewhere with somebody, so I'm always like running around with a gun or a sword.
Right.
I think it's got something to do with probably being in the Navy or something, Oh, he's ex-military; he can do that.
Right.
And again, because I come from a theatre background originally. I come from a classical theatre background, and because I'd done things like Shakespeare and where we fight with swords,
Right.
done things like Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet and Taming of the Shrew, and really wonderful play I once did called Suspicious of the Whore, which has probably one of the best sword fights at the end of it. It's kind of like the Tarantino fight of its day. And I've always done that, and that's on my CV, as you can see. There's an element of that. So I think that's partly the reason why that happened. But I literally got pulled aside one day, and I thought I'd done something wrong, and I was going to get told off. And I was asked if I would basically do this job in addition to my own.
Right.
And so next thing you know, I'm like running around with a big wig and the robes and all the kit, and that was interesting.
Does this do anything for you for your acting career? I mean, is that considered something that's that people would aspire to work towards?
How do you mean?
Doing the stand-in work. Well, not necessarily Star Wars, but just stand-in work in general. Is that it's obviously important, but does that translate to more work for you if you have experiences doing stand-in work?
Yeah, it can do. I mean, I've been asked to do it on one or two other projects, but sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those things that you have to choose very carefully and wisely. I liken it to being like a film understudy.
Right.
In theatre, when you do shows, people understudy other people's roles.
Right.
And because people get sick and injured, and you get to go on. And being a stand-in is very much like that because you get to play their part and you learn all that stuff. So it's a very, very, I think it's a really great job, to be honest. And I think it's quite an underrated job. You get to watch all the main players in the scene. So if anybody great or well-known is in the scene, you get to watch them and learn from them. But it's not something that, like, I would go to drama school and train to do. I think it's something that it's one of the jobs that is open to you. I know some people that do it all the time because of they're a certain height, build. One person I know regularly does it for one specific person because they're very similar.
Right.
But yeah, it's a great job.
Sorry, I apologize. Would they ever
That's
use say B-roll shots of you? Like maybe Liam is doing a shoot on another set and they just need you from the back in a robe. You know what I mean? So you can't really see your face. So that there's parts of you that are on film that you know is you.
Oh God, the film's littered with them. There's one really funny bit where I actually chase myself through a door.
How does that happen?
There's a great shot where I think it's the bit where there's a bunch of us who get captured. Captain Panaka and a bunch of the Naboo Royal Guards get captured. And we're all sitting on the floor in this hangar, and the Jedi, like, we all in these droids and jump on a ship and blast off somewhere. There's a bit during the escape where I'm running with Queen Amidala, who's dressed not as well in sort of combat gear, what I would call combat gear.
Right.
So you got me sort of behind like Natalie Portman and allegedly behind Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going to the door. But when they did the shot, they shot it in two bits. So they had me and a guy called Nick Burgess was the stand-in double for Ewan McGregor. So we spent a lot of time together, as you can imagine. So the shot that you're referring to is you see us go through the door, and then of course on another day they were doing the Naboo Royal Guard thing, so we're constantly switching costumes. So there's me, and because they said what had happened, but the Jedi weren't actually going through the door in the shot; they'd already gone through. And the idea was that there was a shot that we were going to run towards the door and go through it. So we filmed that bit, and it always makes me laugh when I watch it in the final cut because I literally end up chasing myself to the door. I have actually got a 10x8 that the hardcore fans, only the hardcore fans seem to buy it. I was telling the story, but it is a quite unique shot because it's one of those few moments where, you know, that happens. But the film's littered with them. The film is literally littered with, because this is the thing about being a stand-in, is that the actors will say that they do as much as they can, but on a film you physically can't. You physically can't be 3 or 4 places at once.
Right.
So you have to have these people, you know. So it's kind of funny watching the film because you just know there are certain bits you do. But I suppose my biggest claim to fame, if there's such a thing, is in the famous Duel of the Fates, the 2-on-1 fight. You know the bit when Qui-Gon gets killed?
Yes.
Remember the bit when Qui-Gon gets killed? You see Qui-Gon get stabbed with Darth Maul's lightsaber.
Yes.
Don't you? And you see Liam's face on the close-up.
Right.
Oh,
But it's a body shot, I think.
Well, yeah, as soon as it flips around to the reverse,
right,
and you see him die and fall to the floor and lie there, that's me.
Oh,
that's me dying. It's me that dies.
Oh man, so it's your fault. So many people have cried and gotten emotional.
Yeah, Liam was in the canteen having dinner. You know, Liam was like doing the lunch thing. you know.
Right.
And that was quite funny because when we shot that, I couldn't move once I hit the floor.
Mhm.
So I was lying there for like hours, and people were like running up to me with bottles of water and brushing my hair and doing all the weird and fun stuff they do on film.
Right.
Because that's the job, and that's, you know. And you got
Do you
George
remember-
running around looking at stuff from camera angles and talking about stuff. And,
Do you remember
know.
doing that death scene like in multiple takes? Like, did you have to keep doing that over and over again?
oh yeah, oh god, yeah. And then when they done the take, I couldn't move. I was on the floor, like I said, and I couldn't move. I was actually on the floor, I think, for about 2 hours.
Talk about lying down on the
Because
job.
they had like 3 cameras or something, and
Right.
little lights, and yeah, it was just mad. But doing a Star Wars film is lovably mad, you know.
Right.
Remember
right.
that the Phantom Menace is quite now. It's quite a prolific historical film. It has one of the longest fight in film history.
Right.
It has one of the longest, most unique fights in film history. It is the first film that used the modern form of CGI.
Right.
It's currently the only Star Wars film to have Oscar nominations, and I think won one.
Oh wow.
Did you know that?
I
It was
didn't know that,
nominated for all the costume, special effects, and CGI.
Fantastic.
So it has a really unique place in history, really.
Mhm.
I think it's got a few other unique things as well. But those are the main ones.
Right. Right.
So, and every time it's been edited, it gets better as a film because the story becomes clearer because of bits they've added or what they tweak and what they do.
Right, right. And you know, the interesting thing about Phantom Menace, I particularly remember when Phantom Menace came out, you know, and it had been, you know, such a long time since Return of the Jedi came out. So there was so much anticipation built up for this movie.
Oh,
People
God, yeah.
worldwide were excited about the return of Star Wars. And for a while, for many years, you know, poor Hayden Christensen was, you know, got a lot of flack about his part of stuff. But now, almost like Empire Strikes Back in the day, when it first came out, it was not very critically acclaimed, but now a lot of people will claim that Empire is actually the strongest of all the Star Wars movies. Phantom Menace kind of went through that as well. There was a bit of a backlash at first, but now it's grown to be, you know, this beloved jewel of the Star Wars crown.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Good job, Ezra. Thank you,
You
sir.
did win. See, look, you win. See? I mean, that's beautiful, isn't it? You know, you get out of bed to do your job as an actor, and like you go to work on a film, and the film wins that level of awards.
Right, right.
But you know what? You still have to come and audition a lot of the time. You still have to come into the job. It's like, yeah, that was good. That was lovely. But over you, right? Can you read this and learn it? Oh, right then.
But now, how did you feel about that? Because obviously, being a part of this movie that's a cultural phenomenon, how did you feel about? Because, like I said, at first there was mixed reviews. A lot of even the hardcore Star Wars fans weren't really excited about the first 3, particularly after Phantom Menace came out. But over the years, it has become very beloved within the Star Wars, and particularly Qui-Gon Jinn in particular. And of young Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, the relationship they have is something that is held up as a standard for Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Obi-Wan series. I think is going to be very interesting because it takes place between episodes 3 and 4.
Right.
Yeah, you see, I can't see them not at some point doing like a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan flashback.
Right.
or something like where he turns up as a Force ghost or something, because of that what's gone before, because of that relationship, because of the popularity.
Right.
Right.
And actually, in the Star Wars lore, Qui-Gon was the first of the Jedi to learn how to manifest over from the Force and become this Force ghost. So he teaches Yoda. So you would assume that if Obi-Wan is on a desert planet for 20 years, that Qui-Gon, his great master, would show up and teach Obi-Wan how to become a Force ghost, which is we see him do later on with Luke.
Mm.
That would be my assumption.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose that's what makes the is it the Rise of Skywalker? It is the Rise of Skywalker, isn't it? No, the Last Jedi. That's what makes the Last Jedi really puzzling, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole different discussion.
Because you've got half a film with two people bumbling around on a rock, and it's like, so what's gone on here? Why don't we see why you've ended up there and what's gone on? And
right.
But again, like I say, there's loads of odd things in Star Wars. We used to go to work, and there'd be some sets that were built in full, and there were other sets where there were like bits and pieces of things all over the place, and there'd be like green screens and blue screens. And
right.
At one point, there was an orange screen and just all kinds of weird stuff.
Right. I can imagine how disorienting that would be as an actor. And I know, I think Revenge of the Sith was the first movie that was completely CGI. There was no, real set. So I can imagine as an actor trying to imagine the creatures that George Lucas or some of the other art designers have in their head that you're supposed to be interacting with.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, some of it was hilarious. The scene I told you about where we're on the hangar floor and we get rescued and we have to go and fight the droids.
Right.
For whatever reason, we weren't told that they actually were droids. And when we came to film the thing, we were confronted with a lot of guys dressed in like white boiler suits with hoods.
Right.
To which quite a few of us started laughing because they reminded us of the sperms out of Woody Allen's. You wanted to know about sex and we're afraid to ask.
Right.
But they do. You have a look at them. They look like a bunch of painters and decorators. It was hilarious.
Right.
And then, of course, the reason for that was to CGI them and onto these droid things. And it was like, you almost felt like saying, George, why don't you just tell us they were droids?
Right. Then we know what we're working
You're
with.
fighting the enemy. At this point, the force of that, you're fighting the enemy.
Right.
You're like,
Right.
Okay, George. Yeah.
Right. So you were on set with George.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is absolutely fantastic.
All the stuff that I did as Keegan was with George. Most of the stuff that I did as the Naboo Royal Guard was shot with second unit.
Right.
And a lot of it was shot with a wonderful guy called Nick Hextall Smith.
Okay.
Who went on to do the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yes.
So that was very interesting. And George himself is just a unique person and a legend, and he's a really ordinary guy. He turns up on set and he's like the bloke you expect to run the Ironmongers. Not a film that,
Right.
And his love and detail of the Star Wars world and the characters is phenomenal. His mind just has all these amazing layers. Although, bless it, I mean, sometimes, and I mean this with all the best will and affection in the world, is that sometimes there's a bit too much of it when you're on the set and you're trying to act the scene.
Right.
It's like, sometimes you can talk about stuff too much and it's like, yeah, okay, I think I've got it. Let's give it a go and run with the ball and do it.
Right.
Well, hey, I mean, he gave me 2 great jobs.
Right.
So far.
Right.
And we have we create a piece of history. We created,
Right.
an entertaining piece of history.
So I want to ask you one more question, and then we're at right at that 40 minutes, so we're gonna start wrapping up. But
yeah. There's loads more. I'm saving all the good stuff when we do the live bit.
And I'm excited. We haven't even told people about what that's going to be.
Oh,
too,
no,
so we're going to tell them.
Away. I'm sorry.
We'll tell them right at the end of this. But as an actor,
get your lovely special gifts.
I'm excited for this. As an actor, and then being in that creative process where you're having to imagine, everything's green screened, and you have these, these guys that look like walking sperm in their silly suits and things like that. But now, like, if you've watched, have you watched the Mandalorian series on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I've watched 1 or 2 episodes. I'm just looking for a point when I can watch the next block.
Right.
I mean, I would like, again, another series I'd like to work on, but the trouble is, I can't work in your country yet because I need to have the proper visa.
Right.
And because somebody called Trump decided to bug up all the visa and immigration rules, I'm waiting for lovely Mr. Biden to
get that cleared up.
Sort things out. And so, because it would be great. I mean, and just to do other things as well. It would be lovely to come and have a shot.
Right. Well, my bigger question on that. When I watched the behind the scenes for The Mandalorian, the thing that astounded me most, because I have worked on sets as a director or as a cameraman, was the volume, the stage that they're using now. That is literally, I mean, they can control all of the lighting, and as an actor, I find it, amazing that everybody can be on the same page, right? If you tell me there's a monster over there and he's got these, 80 eyes or something like that, we would all be seeing the same exact thing at the same time. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Or, I mean, that seems like, that to me seems like the evolution in acting, because you're no longer waiting for your lighting, and worrying about getting your lighting off because it's taken so long to set up the next set.
I think it's one of those things that can be like helpful, but also it can be tricky because, you lose that organic interactive thing where you have to like react with people. You have to bounce off with people.
Right.
So bouncing off something that's created by a form of technology is a bit strange. It's like this thing that we've had to learn to do because of the pandemic about doing auditions with all this self-taping and Zooming.
Right.
It has a place, but it's very hard to create the same energy as you would if I'm actually sitting in the room with you.
Right.
Actually reading or like doing sort of the scene. It's, So yeah, I guess it has evolved sort of much in that way. I mean, the scary thing is probably what Avatar created.
Right.
In the they can sort of create human beings from virtually like nothing with the computer now, and they can actually bring people who've died back to life on celluloid and create them in things like holograms and things like that.
Right.
The actual hologram in Star Wars, I don't think is very far away. I really don't. Especially after seeing a few years ago when they did. Do you remember the MTV Awards? They did.
Was it Michael Jackson?
Yeah, the Michael Jackson thing with the dance troupe. I mean, that was weird and amazing at the same time.
Right. And even like if you see like Japanese advertising and stuff, they have like these hologram projectors. You see like little Pokemon bouncing around and things like that. It's we're almost there. We're almost to the, well, actually, I think we're past Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner was 2021. So we should be there already. We should have the hover cars and with Harrison Ford in the All right. So
I actually saw one the other day. They're looking at they got these new sort of like hover. They're like taxis. They're like sort of mini helicopter things that take
right.
That they're planning to use between airports, and they're going to be hydrogen powered or something.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, it'd be like the sort of the the Jetsons dream come true.
Hopefully, civilization makes it there.
I think yeah. Well, I think they're just talking about shipping people between airport ports and
Right.
being like a sort of a flying taxi, really. Which again will open up loads of other things, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be quite interesting what they can do. Although there seems to be a backlash now in films generally to kind of go back to doing the real thing because it's like I think we got to a point where we got a bit too techie, and
Right.
people got a bit fed up with things being a bit too techie. So now they want things more real.
Right. Right.
Especially, I think after the pandemic, because people have been separated and disconnected. So you want things that will naturally reconnect people and interact with people and bounce off with people.
Right, and especially with the current fad of Squid Games, I think like 90% of that set was actually hand built. And
Yeah,
the set is so important and integral to the story. So to go back to kind of that, more classic with very little CGI, I think, a lot of directors are going to look at that and go, wow, we can make a good story and it doesn't have to be all these crazy CGI effects. Hey,
yeah.
I want to, Andrew, we're going to get wrapped up here. Before we go, we want to make sure to let everybody know how they can reach you, find out more about the
Do you
Jedi
want to see
Academy.
the magic cup? You want to see the magic cup? First
All
one
right,
on the high.
but we still didn't even get to show off your cool little merchandise that you had there.
Okay, so basically these are exclusive with me in the Jedi Fight Academy. These are like the smallest lightsabers going. They are little. They're like basically LED key rings, and they're signed. They're signed and sort of engraved with me and the Fight Academy on them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And you can get them from me if you drop me a line at the Jedi Fight Academy, which is JediFightAcademy1@gmail.com.
Okay.
And you can get them for a very reasonable price. I think the American conversion rate is about $10 with a bit of shipping. At the moment, because people have been through a hard time and it's Halloween and it's November the 5th, I think I'm throwing in a nice signed photograph as well. So you can have, I'd say for about $15, you could have a signed picture and a lightsaber keyring.
Hey.
These were made especially for me because I wanted to have. Somebody asked me at an event, they said, is there something that they're very unique that you can do or get hold of? And I was racking my brain and thinking, what would be a bit different? Because I've got pictures, of course,
Right.
and I've got souvenir. I think you saw one earlier. I've got souvenir lightsabers that light up. And
Right.
I sign the blades personally to everybody who buys them.
Oh, wow.
But I wanted something smaller and a bit unique, and cheaper in value for money. So if somebody just wanted to buy like a little thing,
Right.
The other good thing about this is that they're so bright, particularly for kids. They're very good for like lighting your way home at night when it's in the dark, or just finding bits of things in your bag. Yeah, you never lose your keys. And you get to your door and you switch the light on so you can see where to put the lock in the door.
Right.
So there's a kind of a safety thing as well, really, and find your way home. And that's where I thought that would be. I thought, well, what's like a lightsaber? And I saw something that had a light on it that was a keyring, but was not that shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I wonder if they could do that. So I asked the company, and they said, yeah, I think we can. And they created these.
Wow. I need to get me one of those.
It just so happens I've got them in red and Mace Windu purple and Jedi Master green and Jedi Apprentice blue.
Ooh.
Yeah, I chose the colors very selectively. It would keep everybody happy. So yeah, you can get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I tend to respond more for things on like Facebook.
Right.
I check in with Twitter and Instagram occasionally. If you want to book an order and get something, go to the website, Andrew Lawden's Jedi Fight Academy, drop me an email at JediFightAcademy1@gmail.com. Why? Because there is only one.
There's only one.
There's only one. There are other people. I get people that debate this with me. They go, "Oh yeah, we did a lightsaber thing, and so we did a lightsaber thing." I go, and yeah, there are people that do it, and I believe you've spoke to people that do it. You know,
Right.
but most of these people, what they teach is they teach a form of martial arts, but with lightsabers instead of, say, kendo sticks or samurai swords or whatever it is they use.
Right.
So it's kind of accurate, but it kind of isn't. Because, and when we get to the light show, I will tell you more, because the lightsaber fight style is a mixture of styles,
Right.
not just one thing that's adapted. And you know, I guess there's a school of thought. It's like, yeah, but virtually, I think all these people, none of them have actually been in a Star Wars film.
Right.
None of them have actually been on a Star Wars set. And I have. And everything that I teach you is something that was either taught to me or shown to me,
Right.
or is it part of the film, or it's something that when I do a class and a lesson, I try and recreate as much as possible what we had on the set.
Right.
So you enjoy it, so the fans enjoy it. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like the Coca-Cola approach, isn't it? You can't beat the real thing.
I love it.
But
Well,
do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there is a place for that.
Right.
But,
So for everybody in our
you know,
audience who is looking for the authentic experience, there is no better person to talk to than the original Qui-Gon Jinn himself. I'm gonna go rewatch that.
I would slightly disagree with you, because I would say the best person you could talk to is the man who devised the star of the prequel films, which is Nick Gillard, and his apprentice Andreas Petrades. Because without them, we wouldn't do however much and however little or whatever we did, because they created and refined it all. I mean, there is like a sort of an order and stuff. It's like, yeah, I am probably the only guy who's in a thing that's sort of actually teaching class. But if you ever saw them do it, it would be like, go to them, because someone like me would go to them because they created and devised it. And someone like, these guys have got 30, 40 years. I mean, Nick used to be a stuntman. Bit of trivia. Nick and I actually worked on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves together, but we didn't really know each other. But we had that moment. He ran the fight audition, and he said, I know you from somewhere. And it's like, I know you too. Mm-hmm. And we spoke for 5-10 minutes and worked out that was the connection.
Right.
And he's turned up in loads. Do you know Nick is in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh, he himself is in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
He is. He's the German guy. He's the German guy who jumps on the tank. It jumps in the tank and it blows up. Yeah, that's Nick. That's Nick Gillard. Yeah, time traveling, the Jedi Thunder. Yeah. So he's been in like loads of stuff, and Andreas has as well. He's been in everything from like Game of Thrones to the Nevers, and so they're people you can go to who will tell you loads about the technique in the background. They're more stunt coordinators, stunt fight coordinators. Do you know what I mean? Right. I'm an actor who fights and does stunts. There is a difference. I'm not a qualified stuntman, but I can do things.
Right. Well, I love your difference. I love your accessibility to the general community. I know you have people of all ages that come into your classes, and they just want to feel that little bit of connection to the Force.
Yeah. So, and to keep it clear, so people aren't. There's a lot of muddling in the Star Wars world. It's very important that it should be clear who does what, where, and when.
Right.
So you know who you can go to. So if you wanted to ask about this, You can do this. I have people at events that come to me and they ask me about things, and I don't really know, because maybe someone like Andreas, for example, has more knowledge and background to answer that question than I do. So rather than misinform you, I'd go, I think it's this, it could be this, but I could be wrong.
Right.
Or it could be so, because it's like respecting the franchise and the film and the stuff. And do you know what I mean? You don't end up talking rubbish or getting it wrong.
Right. Well, they say the wise man knows that he doesn't know everything. So,
Yeah.
Andrew, we're gonna get wrapped up. I'm gonna let people know
till the next bit. That's episode 1.
All right. I'm gonna let people know we've got a very special show coming up with you here in a couple more weeks. When we come off,
you're twisting my arm.
Yeah, I'm gonna let people know more about that once we get off our little segment in the live chat. So, Andrew, I want to thank you for staying up late with us tonight.
That's okay. Should we end with the Jedi magic trick?
Yes.
Right, here we go. Jedi magic trick.
We're gonna see the Force in action right now. See, look, he's already disappeared.
So, if you remember earlier, I had one of these. Everybody wants to get one of these, don't they? Right? Everybody wants to get one of these.
That's a great cup.
Watch what happens when we pour something into it. Because these are quite magic. I was bought this as a present, and now it's starting to come with me to events, because it's quite fun what it can do. It's a really big mug. Do you see on the side? Do you see all the different lightsabers?
Yes, those are gorgeous.
So it basically covers all the weapons that are used through all the different films, and it is big. It is very, very big.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do with this, I'm just making sure that's about right now. I think we can do it with this. Let's try. This is magic. Ready?
Here we go.
Can you all see? So I have this. I take a kettle.
Here we go.
And I pour very carefully into the cup. And watch what happens. Oh, is that lightsabers I see? Look.
It's starting to pop up. There we go. I need me one of them cups. You saw it there tonight, everybody. The Force in action.
See, the Force is strong.
It is
and
very
on that
strong.
Note, to be continued.
Yes, we will get back together. I will let everybody know, and we will see you soon. Andrew, thank you again. And you have
pleasure. So I better check the email box for about a ton of stuff tomorrow, won't I?
Well, we wish you the best, and I can't wait to catch up with you here in a couple of weeks and find out what you've been doing.
That's all right. Don't forget Jedi Fight Academy and all the social media. Jedi Fight Academy 1@gmail.com.
Excellent. Yeah, we will.
Wow, look how bright that's become.
That's gorgeous. I need to get me one of those. All right, Mr. Ezra.
Where you can get one from.
I bet I know. All right, thank you, Andrew. Ezra,
thank you.
Phoebus. Hello.
Yo.
We are back again. Thank you for tuning in. That was Andrew Lawden. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Barely? Can you hear me better?
That's not helping. I think it's the volume of my headphones.
Hello. Dude, this is a good look for me.
Drop my mic. Or my head.
No wonder Stormtroopers had such bad aim, dude. I couldn't see anything in that thing. But I feel like it matched my jacket really well. Hey, I want to thank everybody who has tuned in and stayed here. That was a little bit longer than we'd like to do. Andrew Lawden, a.k.a. Mr. Qui-Gon Jinn's second stand-in.
Woo!
And we are supposed to have him back in a couple of weeks. He's got something special for us, but we will let you know more about that as it comes. Hey, be sure to check out our website, kybercave.com. We do have pre-sales on our Pure Blood, as well as other sabers that we can ship out right now. Jimmy Jones is in the house. If you were out in the Reno area, make sure to check out his show on 95.3, 95.2. I'm so bad at that, dude. Anyways, Pop Culture Kaboom! Make sure to check that out. That is in Reno every Sunday night. 95 point. Oh man, I wasn't even 95.1. I wasn't even right at all. Every Sunday night, make sure to check out Jimmy Jones on Pop Culture Kaboom. KNVC. So let's go ahead and roll to Comic-Con convent.
Actually, I have bad news.
Uh-oh. Well, we don't have the video?
It didn't upload, and I just tried it again, and it won't upload.
No!
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you're going to have to personally apologize to Kevin for that one.
Actually, I might be able to do something. Hang on. Video file. Oh, I got it. I'm going to have to do exactly what I just did.
Hey, everyone. It's Kevin Hogan in Benicia, California, the Comic-Con Adventures. Although we're almost through October, there's no shortage of fun events to go to. This was the last weekend of Hollister, California, near Santa Cruz's Northern California Renaissance Fair. We saw lots of knights in shining armor, jousting, jesters, and other fun medieval characters walking around. Also, this past weekend was Ohana Comic-Con in Elk Grove, California, near Sacramento, where we saw a couple celebrities like Derek Cooley Jackson, who was the White Power Ranger in the Traveling Power Ranger show, go there, and there was a cosplay contest. We saw lots of fun creative characters at the soccer indoor arena there. Also, this past weekend near Sacramento in Roseville, there was the Roseville Comic-Con, and although it was a rainy day at the event center there, there's plenty of happy cosplayers walking around there still. There was also Caitlin Glass, voice actress from My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan, and Caitlin O'Shaughnessy there as well. She was the voice actress from the voice of Tails on Sonic Boom from Sonic the Hedgehog. Upcoming this weekend on Saturday at the Newark Pavilion in Newark near San Jose in the South Bay, there'll be the Dreamscape Car Show and Cosplay event. There'll be cosplay masquerades going on, DJ dances, food trucks, and a bunch of modified vehicles being shown off, and also some trunk-or-treating for trick-or-treating for little kids going up there as well. And lastly, on this coming Sunday on Halloween itself in Dublin, California, at the Shannon Event Center, there'll be the Tri-Valley Halloween Con. There'll be vendors, cosplay, and all sorts of people selling toys, sci-fi memorabilia, and all sorts of wonderful things. So it'll be fun to check out. Well, thanks for your time listening, and see you out there. Stay safe, trick-or-treating, and back to you guys there at Kyber Cave.
Woohoo! Bye, Kevin! You are being attacked. Dude, we are so lucky to have Kevin. That is Kevin Hogan, once again, with comic.
It was just on the screen.
I don't know how to read. I went to public school.
You were a teacher.
And at any rate, we want to thank Kevin. Once again, we always want to thank the fabulous Mr. James Kaiser, a.k.a. Darth Cephalus, and Christian Castro of Saber Flux Workshops for being on in our cool flow for the show for the day. And that was like a cinema feature one. And of course, we want to thank Mr. Andrew Lawden for staying up and doing our interview from England. Next week, do not forget, biggest show we have Jeffrey Giuliano from Squid Games. He was VIP number 4. He's the dirty old man. But definitely the most memorable of the VIP. So he will be on the show next week, and we will be excited to have him. And I got to figure this out because I got a wedding to go to at 4 p.m. that day. But I'm gonna be here. We're gonna figure it out.
You better figure it out.
All right, my friend. I will. Just the TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Is that all? All right.
And let's hit it.
This theory will blow your mind. What if when Ahsoka originally died to Vader, that is the reality where the sequels exist? Because if she's dead, Then Mando never finds her, so he never ends up going to Tython, never contacts Luke, so at the end of the show, the Empire would get Grogu and end up making Snoke with his blood. Therefore, the sequels would exist. But when Ahsoka does get saved by Ezra, she's now alive. So Mando finds her, goes to Tython, contacts Luke, everything plays out like normal, and the sequels are never created. Since those are in a different reality, we get our Disney Plus shows. What do you guys think?
Write us something new that's not connected to the Mando timeline, a fresh new trilogy for Star Wars. Okay?
I've had this idea about a Sith planet in the unknown regions, very difficult to find. And the Sith planet has abandoned the rule of two and become a massive cultural civilization. For the first time in Star Wars, we explore a whole city where Sith is the way. The dark side is the normal thing that children are raised into. We get to see a Sith training temple. We get to see a Sith leadership of 7 council lords who are corrupt and secretive. But what if a handful of youngsters reject the corrupt leadership of the Sith Lords? What if for the first time we see what it looks like when dark side users are tempted to the light? What they have been told is the most evil place to go. I want to start a whole new Star Wars saga where the dark side is what's normal. This is where we start. This is how kids are raised. Kingdom of the Sith.